Audio check, audio check. Audio check, audio check. Audio check. Okay, good. Seems audio is working fine. There. In the right spot. Okay. What's going on, everyone? I'm Devin with TrueDevinGaming, and today we're playing the Stanley Parable. Ultra Deluxe. This is going to be my first time playing. I have watched a playthrough or two of the Stanley Parable when I was a teen. Many years ago. I have yet to see anything from the Ultra Deluxe version, which apparently added a lot to the game. And I have forgotten most of what happens in the game. So, this is a first playthrough, though not a completely brand new reaction to it. Yep. And I've been wanting to play this for a while, so let's go. We'll take English subtitles. Played the same panel before? No. He's just assigned until the computer is barely visible. I am not using something as bland as computer. That's barely visible for me, but that should be good enough. Please enter the code. Why? What is up with this? Is a bit much. I'll wait for it to actually change to 146 first. Waiting for the clock to change. I don't know why it needs to be accurate. So how's your day? There we go. Recent. Okay. Okay. Let's play. Just for reference, I know the game is set in an office. The end is.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Hello, narrator.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
Okay,
Employee
427.
number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard.
Okay.
Orders came to him through a
buttons,
monitor on
buttons.
his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending,
Yeah, that sounds
Stanley
soul-rending.
relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job.
I wonder if he was.
Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi.
I guess
Never
he's
in all
lonely.
his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Gonna sit here for the longest time. Oh, I'm already standing, not sitting anymore. Do we have a jump button? No, we don't. UK. Oh, 420. Get your first trophy. Hey, got second. And walk out the door.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
That
No
is
matter
way
how
too
hard
bright.
Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Like you can prop yourself up here. Can you get outside? Oh, you can squat. So you can squat, but you can't jump. Oh yeah, a door closed. Who closed it? Let me in. He's in my office. Let me in. No. It is way too bright. Why does that door not have any number on it? Oh, there's 420.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Oh, you can turn off the computer. Different model computers, I guess. That one can't be turned on. Shall turn off all the computers I see. That's not a computer. I don't know what I was typing on there. It looks more interesting going that way.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
I can't get out that way, so I said door on the left, so let's not do that.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Give me a soda. I want to drink.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
Yeah, I guess I'll go.
To get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Which room looks more interesting? Like a storage area. Ah! Yeah, let's go with this one.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Do not lie. If you're lying right now, stop. Calculate the... Do not jump from the cargo lift while in motion. Will cause death. Penalty for misuse of cargo lift, $1,000. Penalty for jumping off the cargo lift, $5,000.
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley.
It said not to jump.
Everyone thinks you are
I can't jump
powerful.
though. I don't have the button.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Okay, we always saw all this stuff.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Should we actually listen to the narrator?
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Rip friends. We're broke Wednesdays is a meeting that day. Financial panic meeting. Office play. Wait, what? It's currently 1:50, so it would be... this is... And it's on Monday, so... There's currently no... There's a question mark for us. Question mark, exclamation mark right now. And group 400 or 40X should be coming in soon. A lot of percent. Teenager space between the teenagers. Okay. $402 plus $405 want to get rid of the desk sport portion in the primary review schedule. Desk sport. But I think that's a stupid idea. More water coolers, more water cooler heaters. Charts need to be more hip to appeal to teenage demographic. Find teenagers to put in teenage demographic. There's a lot. Oh no, there's not a lot in that demographic apparently. Sun short of out trap. That is not a good idea. No more bins / trash cans remaining of the ideas on fire. What do people want? Things happen. Happy feelings. Violet James, you're fine. People do not want happy feelings apparently. Money, more money, things, but just money to buy more things, graphs. Graphs about things plus money. That's your product. Graphs about things plus money. That is not... I can see why there's not many people working on. Colored in sections, stripes, pie. Require more secondary research. Really, stripes require more secondary research. What is hot teenagers? What the... No, teenage, not hot. How to solve a dispute with a coworker. Let it ball up inside you, take it out. Let me finish. Using slides to show employees that everything is okay. Make sure the slide has a slick blue graphic in the header. Everyone's unique, you most of all. Number of slides on the slide. Okay, I can understand now how they're saying the product is graphs. On your boss appreciation minute worksheet, circle the top 20 things you love most about your boss. Fill in. I can't finish reading any of those. There's a broom closet.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here. It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything.
The faint
At least
buzzing
if
is
there was
hurting
something
my
to
head.
interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA. Are you really still in the broom closet?
Yes, I am.
Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
I need a break.
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
Okay, the buzz is getting to me.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Sure. Okay, boss likes red. The executive bathroom. I've got the feeling money's for stealing, but not yours, of course. Say, that's a lovely... I can't see myself in the reflection. Can't flush the toilet either. What is they doing to the panda? How is that a business strategy? How?
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him, and so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Yeah, let me sit in the chair.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
Sewage lilies by Claude
2845.
Money. I am the most expensive boss. Carte Blanc. Mont Blanc. I'm locked in here now.
But it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself, and Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
I can't click the buttons now. With all the open paneling, I have a feeling I'm going to get some asbestos breathed in.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
I mean, escape kinda seems like a good idea right now. But we've gotten so far listening to this guy that we might as well follow what he says.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
It said mind control facility. I feel like I know what the fucking secret is.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building.
Hey, there's my room.
Stanley's co-workers.
427.
The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Two of them got fired, it seems. What is the last number? Because someone that has no number and then there's 600 and then I guess 601 got fired.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe.
I mean,
He
I'm constantly
couldn't
listening
accept
to what you're
His
telling me to
own
do,
life
so
in someone else's
the mind control is
control.
still happening.
Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this
Oh, here's a
place.
3.
And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Is there a way you can press buttons? Can't go up there yet. Okay, so the 5 there.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
Nah.
Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine.
Hey, so we're finally getting
Unshackled
outside
himself from
into
someone
whiteness.
else's command.
I was about to say lightness,
Freedom
but
was
no, it's
mere
just pure white.
moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold?
The thing
But
I want
as
us to do
sunlight
now
streamed
is
into the chamber,
disobey
he
everything that
realized
he
none
said.
of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even
I shouldn't
power
want to
that he
listen to
had
this.
been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
The things I still want to do, I guess, is do exactly the opposite of what the narrator says all the way through. Go to the escape route and then turn on the mind control machine. That stuff I can see, obviously. Hey, you forgot to make the bottom of the stairs an asset, so you can't even see them.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Happy Feelings is not a standard product here. Okay, let's try
All of his co-workers were gone.
a lot of that
What
again.
could it
But let's
mean?
go speedrun.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Faster, faster.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley
Ignoring
walked
everything he said,
upstairs
just
to
going
his
faster.
boss's office.
Here we put in the
Stepping
code.
into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human
I
life.
forget what the code
What
was.
could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He
Better
began
type the
wildly
code in.
tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible
you fucking tell me what
secret
this
that lay buried
code
below
is?
his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Hey!
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Speedrun. Well, not quite a speedrun. I didn't know the code in time.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control
We're
Facility.
gonna try turning on the mind control facility this time.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time?
234
Was this
is
the only
broken.
reason he was
Okay.
happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been
wonder what
manipulated
happened
to
there.
accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible?
So we should look
Had
for
he truly spent
room
his
234
entire
as
life
well.
utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink
Hey, you
in,
can go through this much
Stanley
quicker than I was
decided
going.
that this machinery... Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go. Turn the controls off.
I need to get
and
back
leave.
into the system.
If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode,
Hey.
eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start.
Oh, I need to find
What's that?
the 4 button.
You'd like to know where your co-workers are?
Oh,
A moment of solace before
fuck
you're
you.
obliterated. All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see
when is
it
he supposed
go.
to do anything?
But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on
No!
the clock. Why not? These
Holy-
are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button,
Oui.
screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley?
I just wanted
That
time
this
to
video
end.
game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't.
Goodbye,
Take a look at the clock,
47.
Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever after.
Well, that was rude. So he said he did a nuclear detonation for the place.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Okay, let's try escape this time.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming
Yeah,
to a
but
staircase,
happened if we go
Stanley
down the
walked
stairs as well?
upstairs to his boss's office.
2845.
The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. could he really? Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age
no,
music.
open up the door. What the hell? Calming new age music. This music doesn't sound new age to me.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
So the Cyril completely ignore everything he says and go down the stairs. But we're going to escape first.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
I don't want violent death, but you already went and lit a
The door
nuke.
behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Yeah, that's fine. Huh?
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the
No, I can't
eyes
do
from a
anything else.
blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Release me. Huh?
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was
What the
led
fuck?
helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
I'm confused. Why did the narrator change?
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
That is depressing. But we have his computer. Office layout. The choice. Tutorials. Final cap. Yeah, we know that. Lost computers. Ah, credits. Who is the narrator? Kevin Brighting. With Stanley. I'm going to go to the right because we were told to go left before.
Stanley walked over the bridge. Stanley pushed the orange lever. Let's see. Stanley stood on the roof.
Weird thing for a museum to just be sound. Freedom ending.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen.
No!
Listen to me. You can still save those two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Turn off your PlayStation. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it.
There. I chose.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Left and then we go down, is what I'm thinking. Down the stairs.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk?
Hey, this is the same
All
room.
because he believed everyone had
looping.
vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar.
They looked familiar immediately.
No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
What?
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. No. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife.
Wait, Stanley had a wife?
All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Nah, Stanley's not okay.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Okay.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
What the fuck?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered
don't
the
go down the
meeting
stairs
she had
is what
scheduled
I'm
for that
understanding
day.
from all this.
The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
You know, running away from a dead body on the floor kind of makes it look like you killed them. Probably should just call the police. Okay, we went to what I see is all the options on the left side. I think we can go to the right side next side, because even though this is a very short, this would make it a very short stream. I am feeling horrible. I don't know why, but like 10 minutes after the stream I started feeling sick, nauseous. I have a cold sweat going on. Might be food poisoning. Yay. So I'm gonna be ending stream and laying down. Yep. So to anyone that joined me today's stream, or anyone watching, thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed. And until next time, see ya. Next time we'll be going over the right door. Yep.